But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, everyone, welcome to episode 0x53, 53, the 84th episode of Super Happy Dragon Lucky. There will be a live AMA at the end, so do start getting your questions into the chat so that we have some there. We won't be playing catch up and miss some, so do that now if you can. This week, so here we'll do some updates real quick before we get into any of that. This week on Number Go Up, we have we've seen that the Dragon net nodes nearly double in the past 30 days, maybe a little less than double, but a pretty, going up at a pretty good clip, which is awesome and amazing. And hopefully that will continue. Seems like it's up every week. I tend to not even notice it until we pass something like an even number somewhere. Next is a DEN update that we have coming up, the new Ides of March LCP. So it's going to start on the 15th, and it'll run for a week. Right now, the proposal phase is underway, so anybody in the world can come in and make a proposal for new layers and basically do the necessary work to gather a community to support it, to get it to pass. All previous proposals will move forward. You don't need to repost them. If anything pops up that there are too similar, that, if anybody says, hey, we're going to pull this one out, let us know before the 15th and we can pull it out. But otherwise, all the ones that are there that didn't win last time will be moved into this new round. Once the commitment phase starts on the 15th, it'll run for a week, and people will be able to commit lore to create these new layers. So just like it ran last time, we're hoping to get a few things built in, improvements, but we don't know for certain if they'll be in this round or not. So we'll let you know. Also, we expect to have, and we've talked about this already, but to allow farming of lore on staking.den.social. Keep watching, and we'll announce it when it happens. You'll probably see it on on all the socials, obviously on Den, but on crypto Twitter as well. So watch for that. We don't have a date. We had a couple of things we had to fix that were unexpected with some of the libraries, I believe, if I'm understanding correctly. So watch for that, and it will allow you, just so you know, so you can get ready, I guess, to stake liquidity as Matter ETH, as Lore ETH, or Dragon ETH, or even direct Dragon tokens to claim some of that lore, and then to use it in the LCP that's coming. Hopefully that'll be in time. Let's see here. Next up, we're going to do a quick take, and this is very Dragonchain specific, a quick take on hybrid blockchain, right? So I'm going to get started here, and I suppose we go to full screen for this, right? So quick take, hybrid blockchain, right? That obviously there are multiple types of blockchains, and there's public, which, Bitcoin, Ethereum, most of the currencies, obviously, are public blockchains that they need full transparency for those transactions moving data around. There's private, which would be Hyperledger, Corda, some of the blockchains that have had a lot of focus from corporate or in particular banks. And then there's hybrid, and hybrid is recently got some decent attention because people are realizing that you can have some extra level of value, some flexibility applied, and yet not just totally sell short the value of having public blockchains. So with public blockchains, fully decentralized, or at least that's their goal. Nothing is purely fully decentralized, but high security value, limited privacy. Pretty much everything is available to see as it has to be. However, drawbacks are low throughput, network congestion. You can see that they can become expensive in a number of ways. Clearly fees, but also even to develop on, right? That there are so many pitfalls and so many things that are different organically to a developer and to a deployment, that it's a very expensive thing to undertake depending on how you're using it. It's not scalable generally to enterprise levels. And generally they're inert, that there's not anything considered for compatibility with traditional systems. Private blockchains attempted to answer those issues for the banks, that one way or another, they limited access, right? They made it so that it wasn't a transparent public chain that anyone could check the validity of. That they do have, or at least they attempt to, and they should have higher throughput and better scalability. In practice, a lot of them have failed on this front because I wanted to criticize too much, but a lot of the projects took some of the bad parts of blockchain in and didn't consider what they could do otherwise, because they were trying to sit in the middle, right? There's no decentralization. It does require trust, which is reasonable for a lot of the applications. And again, because they took in a lot of the blockchain patterns, the integration with traditional systems suffers a decent amount. So with hybrid, and with hybrid, there are some very abstract things that I could talk about and bore you all forever. But we basically are in this section going to talk about Dragonchain as an exemplary hybrid blockchain. Let's say that we have lower transaction costs. Which does follows, it basically follows the pattern of private blockchain, yet we're having to integrate public blockchains to leverage the security and leverage other features. And so we have some flexibility with that integration, and therefore are able to keep transaction costs down. We have some pretty tremendous ease of integration features that, because we are a hybrid, we can basically say that your business node is just software. What are you doing right now for development, integration, and deployment? You can do those things, the same things with Dragonchain, because we are a hybrid blockchain. We have partial consensus nearly instantly, and full consensus within hours. This is extremely important because some of the key features of what you want to use a blockchain for, which is proof, can be gotten very quickly, and in time can be very powerful. And that's the whole point of it, that you can't have perfection immediately, but in 99.9% of all situations, you don't need that. You won't actually know that a piece of data is going to be in question for months typically, right? And anyway, it's an interesting piece that it is very much a spectrum of trust and a spectrum of time. The longer you wait, the less you have to trust, because you'll have proof. Smart contracts can be written in any language. Extremely important for integration, because your developers who know your system, who know your customers and know your data intimately, are able to write the smart contracts in the languages that they are most comfortable with, the languages they're already using, the languages that your other systems are already using. It's a beautiful thing. Smart contracts can be upgraded, and because they're on chain, an upgrade is very, very much it's a very familiar thing, because it'll feel like deploying a new version of web service code, but it's on chain. So you can prove at any point that the processing that occurred on this transaction that resulted in this system state, you can actually see the contract that it ran through at that time. I mean, it's all contemporaneous, everything's still there, and the state is retained. Okay. Next, only the proof is decentralized. We've actually come to the realization that this is one of the more important things that can be described about Dragonchain, and the reason that we're a hybrid blockchain is that your data, the business data, your customers' data, data that is sensitive, possibly regulated, does not need to be decentralized. And if it is decentralized, that's up to you. Like, say, for disaster recovery, for data sharing amongst your other parts of your business or your partners. But it's certainly not something that needs to be decentralized and transparent to the world, right? That with Dragonchain, only the proof is decentralized by default, and your sensitive data is kept private. It's kept on your own blockchain, on your own node, under your full control. And you have selective data exposure. So the system's fully and natively capable of GDPR, CCPA, or HIPAA compliance because of the way that we handle the data. And that you have a measurable proof, a measurable security value. It isn't just, oh, I feel good, so I can go to sleep tonight. It is literally that you can, look at a dashboard and see what really is in place, the state of your data, the state of your systems, and go to sleep at night with some level of measurable proof that everything is being handled as appropriate, and you're not going to be getting in any trouble, and your customers are going to be all safe and happy. And when we talk about measurable security, measurable proof, we're literally saying that instead of saying that we have so many yada hashes of hash power applied onto this one transaction, and we're measuring from Bitcoin and Ethereum, even though we have other blockchains that are interchained, that we're tracking hash power on Bitcoin and Ethereum because it's easily obtained, and that we're seeing tens of millions of dollars daily applied to most days to transactions, and it does vary, but that generally within a month we're seeing about $250 million. And, within a year we're seeing about $4 billion worth of proof every year, and that happens for every single transaction, no matter how mundane the data is behind it. And that's a key point, and it's because we've scaled the system and scaled the economy with a, primarily because we're able to, because this is a hybrid chain. And to back up a lot of this, we've done so much research early on, and we have a lot of what I would say, I guess, intellectual property beyond just the patents, but we have a lot of knowledge surrounding how to use blockchains that isn't commonly available. You don't see it in the tech press or anything. And a lot of this has exposed itself through these patents, right? That we, in 2018, received the interchain patent, and it has since been broadened to include, any blockchain communications between blockchains. So from one blockchain to another, that our interchain patent covers that. And it's primarily an interoperability patent. We use it everywhere on our system every day. The entire architecture uses it natively. We have a patent that we call the time patent, but it's basically use of time as a measure to scale a blockchain network. So it is a scalability patent, and that, in my opinion, is probably the most interesting IP that we have. That we, we flipped the head on scarcity, where instead of having hardware as scarcity in our network, we have time, and that allows us to scale both the network itself and the economy, because we aren't tied to the hardware. So there's it's a very interesting thing, because you can't manipulate time, and it has a couple of values as well for security, including against 51% attacks. But there are a number of answers to that we have in our platform. And then the last and most recent, just a few weeks back, we were awarded the smart contract orchestration patent, which effectively models, and I can get into this if anybody's interested, because some people had asked questions earlier in the week. It models RESTful architecture onto blockchain, where looking at how the architecture of the internet works to give it the scalability that we know and love. That in the early days, the internet was a few weird little protocols, and the web, where basically informational, mostly textual websites that quickly moved to streaming audio, streaming video, and now things that back then would have seemed totally crazy are now possible online. And we really went after this in terms of, okay, we already do this, and this amounts to basically tying a string of smart contracts together, smart contracts and ledgered transactions together, to do a particular workflow process. And that a business workflow can have forks, and it can have decision points, and it can have places where things are filtered, where state is changed, and or where things are recorded for regulatory reasons or anything else. And to make a system truly flexible, instead of coding your entire process in one smart contract, this allows you to break up components and reuse those components, which is particularly valuable, but also to maintain the state between every single process, which is very interesting for process improvement and for debugging a process, or going back and evaluating why something went wrong. Right, the fact that even the most mundane data is stored, and you can actually whittle down what went wrong and how you can fix it. So, and there's a lot more to it than that, but that's high level, best description. And that is it. Quick take on hybrid blockchains. Hopefully that was all right. So next up, we're going to do the live AMA. So right after this, okay?
Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
All right, back with questions. Okay, let's see here. First up, illegal fire flame. Wow, is that Ronald? Hi Joe, is there a date on when the Den app will be out? I assume you mean mobile app. Been away for almost 2 years, aside from banning spammers now, and then in the Japanese channel. So no idea if this has already been addressed. No, some people have asked even recently that it is out in beta right now. So you can go, trying to think, I know you can go into Den and find it in one of the layers that there's I think there's a form that you go to apply. But either way, the information's out there. So you can get the beta, both iOS and Android. It's pretty much all I use now, unless I'm sitting here at the desk. But it's pretty smooth. There are a couple of little bitty things that we're wanting to tighten up before we submit it to the app stores. And we might have that, I'm hoping sooner than later. So it's, it'll be there soon. And it helps because, as an example, the notifications, so you can know when somebody's replied to you. That's the biggest thing, because we really want, as much as possible, to drive more conversation. Because if as an example, if you make a post that drives a lot of conversation, those of you that have had that happen, you can see in the metrics that it does really amp up the rewards. That there's just, because every single vote on a comment below you, you get a cut, right? And so you end up getting a lot more from the conversation in the end, and people will upvote more too. But one of the key pieces to getting a conversation going, though, is a mobile app telling you that somebody has replied to you. So now you can go in and answer them, or tell them how they're wrong or right, or whatever else it is. So that's a big part of it. Rizzy, what is Dragonchain doing against companies that do interoperability with their own chains, right? I assume. I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, we're just starting to get into how we want to use the patents. To date, and for the people that hate, there are people that don't like patents, right? For those people, suffice it to say that in the very least, it is a manner and mode of protection for our small company, as a David against all the Goliaths out there. That we know a lot of them have. How do I say this? I don't want to say taken action against us. That they've done things that we say, okay, they one way or another, there are some of them that might or might not feel threatened by what we've done and are doing, and that's why there's a lot of disinformation out there, and frankly, I just rather have them do business with us than attacking us, especially behind our backs and things like that. But, so there's a lot out up there, and to protect us, we have the patents, but it also might mean there might be an offense related. Yes. So we'll see. Lothar, can you show an example, maybe not now live, of how exactly can you prove something happened with Dragonchain? Yes. So you could take any mundane data, and let me see if I can, I'll try to pull up something quick if I can as an example. I hope I get the right one. Yes, I think this is it. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen, And so this is one example, and this anybody in the world can do. It's free. You don't need an account. You can just go to Eternal, and for anyone not anyone doesn't know about Eternal, you can go to the main page and you can archive a web page, you can archive a tweet, you can archive some text, right? It was set up as a very simple demonstration of our interchain capabilities when we got that patent, right? So anybody can come in here, type in any text, whatever. It happens to be Markdown compatible as well. You can record it. It'll put it on chain. It'll immediately start verification out through the network. It'll show you here. It'll show you the transaction. It'll show you the business block, and then it'll continue over time going through all of the levels of verification. So you can see one here that was recorded. I've shown this before, right? January 29th. So a little bit more than a year ago, like a year and a month, right? And this is just a tweet, right? It's particularly funny because this is very true, right? Oh, sorry, I shouldn't click that. But either way, that the proof is here, that we have cumulative hash power. And since that time last January, not I guess the January before this last one, $4.3 billion, almost $4.4 billion of hash power, and very conservatively estimated, by the way, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, have been applied since that time. So you can go through and you can take this original data, including the payload. You can take the full hash, which is signed in all of the blocks, even where the payload is stripped, and you can basically go all the way down to the Bitcoin block itself, and you can verify the whole chain. And with that, the actual meaning of it though is, would I spend $4.3 billion and fork Ethereum and Bitcoin and Binance Chain and Ethereum Classic to fake this tweet? And you can generally assume no, Joe wouldn't do that to fake that tweet, right? So that's the gist of it, I guess. That's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but okay. Let's see here. This is Jared. Is the quantum resistant product offered by Dragonchain in operation right now? And this would be the what we call the Digital Fortress product suite, the quantum safe algorithms integrated at the core of Dragonchain. It's not operational yet. We're about to roll out the very first iterations of it, and we're getting a few integration points in place, and we're getting a couple of extra features in our cluster for scaling applied as well to get ready. And I don't have an absolute timeline, but it's fast. We're trying to get everything up as fast as possible because of demand. And let's see here. I'll throw this away. What's the next question? Another question. I can do, let's see here. I'll do a hard one. How about that? Christopher Lamb, will the team be focused on enforcing these patents against other devs who infringe, or will they try to license out the ability to use the patented tech? We would always prefer the licensing, right? And yet, I don't know, there's some groups that might or might not proactively come to us. I guarantee you the best deal will be had if they come to us directly. And as it is, we have some pretty flexible plans outlined, but there's, especially at this point, there's a lot of flexibility if somebody has an integration that would make sense. But our license is literally our token, so an integration with Dragonchain already would comply. depending upon how it's integrated. So there's some interesting things that a lot of these projects could do. And, frankly, we've tried to reach out to some of them already to see what we can do in a friendly way. And I don't know. I mean, I don't foresee us being, becoming a patent troll or anything like that. But, there is some actual value in those. And I think those 3 patents are as fundamental and valuable as you can get in the space. So, if anything, my dream is to come up with a tokenized model for that IP. And if anybody has any interest or thoughts in that, reach out, because we have some pretty clear outlines for how we can do it. But I'm not an expert at how to go after violators of patents or anything like that. So, we're looking for partners in a couple of places there too. Let's see here. Because of the Takara structure, does it benefit Dragon at all if the Takara value is higher? Benefit Dragon. I mean, well, we have holdings in Dragon, so it definitely benefits us if the Takara value is higher. If the token value is higher, it definitely benefits us, and it benefits the community, and it benefits the node runners, and it benefits the economy itself. So, I mean, yes, the token price does matter, because fundamentally there needs to be a value for the token, which is awarded to the people that are running nodes, right? And we have a pretty good responsibility to maintain that economy. Why? Because we need more nodes. We need decentralization for the equation to work, for the value to be there. And especially for that early verification, that is, level 2s, 3s, 4s that happen really fast. It's very important that those happen really fast, so that people aren't waiting around for Ethereum or Bitcoin to do a validation. And Takara price itself, if you're talking about fundamental token price versus Takara price, it doesn't benefit us either way, because when we think about Takara, it's very much a US dollar equivalent consideration that you have to think about the fact that it doesn't matter in the end what the Takara price is for our business, because the actual adopters, the businesses that are coming in and running nodes, are paying in typically in US dollars. They have the full capability to go out and buy dragons on the market. And some of them will, and some of them are, and it's a valuable consideration that might or might not be speculative, but that's up to everyone taking part. But if you're coming in and you don't care about dragons, and you don't care about the speculative nature of the token itself, you only care to do your business, and you're saying, okay, I need a blockchain to do X, and I can integrate it. And Dragonchain offers all of these features that are very flexible, that I can get built quickly. So you come in, it doesn't matter to you if your $10,000 a month pays for 1,000 dragons, or if it pays for 1 million dragons. That doesn't matter to you at all. What matters is, okay, I'm paying this much, I'm getting this many transactions, and everything else is handled. So anyway, I think it answers it. Let's see here. When DragonNet Block Explorer? That's a really good question. I'd love to do it. If we had the time, it would already be there. We just keep getting things that are more that are higher priority, being from a customer or some core feature that we need in. But in the end, I would like it possible to make it possible for node runners to be able to download, in the very least, a CSV or something that they can throw into a spreadsheet to be able to differentiate rewards between nodes and things like that. I will tell you right now, it is all open source. That if it were written, I mean, we would definitely we would definitely accept a pull request for anything that threw CSV output into the node itself, because I think most people of those, now 2,000 plus nodes are running in their own facilities, either cloud or local, that, you're literally running that code. It's sitting there. You could very easily pull out all the data and throw it into a CSV file if you wanted. So, I'd be open to, I'd talk to the devs, of course, but that could be included at the source, not just at the console. Might be more secure there too. There are some other things too that we're looking at. I haven't even had the time to talk about, but we're really looking to make at least some of the verification nodes capable of being stateless, which would make the deployment footprint even smaller. It's already pretty small, but we could make it a lot smaller if we did that, and we just haven't had time to address it yet. Something else, you guys, I was on the GBBC podcast, or I'm not sure if it's a webinar or podcast. Do go check that out. It was live, but it should be available, I do believe, on YouTube later, I'm pretty sure. And we covered a lot of very interesting things, fundamental things about the tech. So what else do we have? Let's see here. We talk about hype. So Martin Ulbrich, yes, we keep on building. We've done nothing but keep on building. In fact, with much great pain in the past 3 years, we have built even when it was probably considered crazy by a lot of people to do so. That we're not focused on hype. I mean, hype is fine, but it's short-lived. And what we're focused on is the long-term positioning. That we know it's coming. We can't predict the timing, but we do know that adoption is coming, and that given the capabilities of the technology and how Dragonchain has positioned itself, that we should be primed for a lot of the adoption. Who knows? Market share, I have no idea. I mean, there's so many different things to do with blockchain. I'm mostly interested in the things that are very strategic for us, that show others how the tech can be used, right? So let's see here. This is a hard question. When do you feel dragons will be bought from exchanges instead of your reserve supply? When we feel that there's enough adoption and the timing is right, and the pricing won't matter, because literally it will be a market purchase of a certain dollar amount. So it's a relatively simple thing to do, but it's a revenue basis. So as soon as it's reasonable for us to do it, we will do it. Let's see here. Will there be Jap Cams 123? Will there be any dragons left on exchanges in 100 days? No way. I have no, you guys know better than I would about that. GBBC podcast. Yes. Did they give it a link? Okay. If we have a link to that, it would be good. Hopefully we'll put something in the description as soon as we have a link. Let's see here. Any comments on adoption? Do we have, here, let me pull up. We have this, and this is I'll share it here in a second. Window. Too many clicks. The clearest place to get adoption numbers is here, and it's seems to be leveling around 300,000 ish transactions a day. Occasionally spikes, and we've seen days where we've had in the millions. We have a couple of customers that are on and off on different days, and it's business. They're real transactions, so it's hard to know what will happen one day to the next. But it is interesting because with and I don't know if Trey has said this anywhere, but we have over 24. I don't know the actual number right now, but we have over 24 sales reps now all over the world doing all different things. And at least a good handful of them have really good networks that they're getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right products. And we're getting a lot of people that are, very interested and that are starting to do things. So, some of them take longer than others. It's always nature of business that everything takes longer than I want it to, but it's coming. So it's all in a good state. Let's see here. Joe asks, can we build DragonSwap? You can build anything you want, right? It's all software. It's a beautiful thing. People built what was Slumber Swap back in the day, if that's what you're trying to describe. And I can use this as an opportunity to talk about CTLC, that we have the CTLC system, which was never fully integrated because we had some regulatory questions that we weren't going to touch, because I didn't want to, get issues from that one thing. I didn't want to become an exchange, right? However, we do think that we have some solutions to it that would be independent and decentralized, where we would not have to worry about even any potential being an exchange, and yet would make the ability for you, those of you who have built out a considerable amount of time, to actually monetize it. To find a way inside of the economy to help the businesses that are currently building in a way that won't require Dragonchain to be the central point of offering time to make their transactions feasible. Like, say, when you look at our proposal for Reddit, we went, I can't remember how many pages that was, right? That was a pretty big undertaking, but we knew it was all about marketing. We were pretty sure there's no way they were going to pick us, that, most stuff like that is already what they call wired, where they already know who's going to win it, but they put it out, and it's either, in this case, it was for show, and who knows, it could have been for the investors in Reddit, who knows why, but they picked who they were probably already going to pick, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we put in there, specifically that we could run not just what they were considering, but we could actually, which I think is fundamentally necessary, to prove the actions and not just prove the scores, right? What's the value of a token that says I got 1,000 votes if the 1,000 votes aren't recorded on chain, right? So in using Ethereum, they can only do that summation, and although the token will be decentralized, the data, the proof won't. So it's kind of a meaningless system that they outlined, in my opinion, professional opinion. But we specifically called out, we can track everything, all the votes, all the replies, all the posts, everything they do, and pull that into the result of a token which is secured on Ethereum, right? Which is a beautiful system. And we knew, we wouldn't be picked. And, if you guys look at the history of that proposal, it's hilarious, because we, got trolled like crazy, but it was funny. It was fun. And so, in the end, we had to assume that Dragonchain would cover the time there, because it would require, 1 billion time, or maybe it was more than 1 billion time. And we would prefer to open that up so that it's not Dragonchain providing that for the strategic customers coming in, that there's a place that, the Takara system would map, whatever the market value of that time is available to that customer. So part of their actual monthly bill will be paying for the transactions themselves to get the verification. We'll be paying the node and any management or support that Dragonchain provides, but then also paying holders of time to use that time for that month, right? So that's the big picture. I would love to talk about it in fellowship or something, but we don't know yet if we're going to be able to. So, you know, we'll see what happens, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to roll it out. Lothar. Some people doubt the metric numbers since there's no block explorer. Is there anything you can do to give more transparency to them? Let's see here. There is, well, the interesting thing is that the primary would be the business node itself, right? So, you know, you can look at Eternal and you can see transactions. You can look at Den and you can see every transaction, even though you don't know their transactions. You know, every single vote, every single reply, every single post in Den, every single, you know, minting operation, every single time, you know, lot is transferred. That's all on chain. And you can see it in the system. There's not a block explorer, but you can see it. If we did a block explorer of, it would have to be the verification nodes, right? So you would see the level 2s, the level 3s, the level 4s, but we don't control those. So they are decentralized. So I don't have an easy way to say that. You know, it's frankly, I don't necessarily care. Because you think about it, the people who would be asking are the speculators, right? Because the businesses that are using it know they can see their data, and that's all I care about. I can care that they can see their data and that I can't. You know, it's potential we could expose part of it, you know, maybe the billing transactions so that you could see, you know, but still they would say, but I can't see the data. It's like, yeah, that's the damn point of it, right? You can't see the data. Right, so it's a weird thing because even if I exposed at decent cost, and you think about the security of the people running the nodes also. You're going to talk about opening a port on their system for anybody in the world to hit from the web. That's not going to happen, right? That there is no central single blockchain in this. Every single one of every single you know, these 2,000 nodes, which include the business nodes as well, every single one of those is a blockchain hosted independently, right? So you would, if you had a source, like say if you're running a business node, you can trace obviously your entire chain and all of your payloads, all of your data, and you can trace it all the way up for every single block, all the way to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But you don't want that exposed, right? So fundamentally, I think probably the best take on that question is that the person who would ask this is a speculator on the outside on crypto Twitter saying, I don't believe that they have more transactions than my favorite chain. And therefore, and because they don't have a block explorer, it's like, well, it's fundamental to our architecture that the business data is protected. And, you know, so you can't see it, I guess. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing. The businesses don't care because they can see their own data. Okay. Jared, in the future, will it be possible to show companies using Dragonchain and how many transactions they are posting and put that data on the metrics page? Well, we already have the number, and there is a mix, so it's not perfect. But you know, we do have the number of L1 nodes that, you know, it's 37 right now, and we do have announcements that happen. So, you know, some businesses don't care to market around this. Some don't want to. Some haven't decided. Some, you know, a lot of times haven't decided if they want to put a flag in the ground. We're using blockchain, right? And why? Frankly, the funny thing is, we've seen in the past, and I've gotten even trolled from the community on a couple of things on my comments on the matter. But I will say speculation is net negative. That it is not good to speculate on, oh, Dragonchain's going to sign on Starbucks, right? You remember the Starbucks thing? That literally did hurt us, right? And, you know, we tried to play it, just like play it down, play it safe. And then it really hurt us. And then when I said, you guys, don't do that anymore, then everybody's like, oh, you blaming the community. It was like, you know, if you don't know something, don't say it, right? If you want to ask something, ask it. If you want to say, hey, it would be an amazing use case if this company did this with Dragonchain. That's awesome. That's totally in game, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But saying, I know that somebody's going to use it is bad in the end, because in that case in particular, it went all the way to the freaking top. And that's what got the whole thing shit canned. That he's like, what's this? What is all this shit, right? That's literally what was asked. And we probably would have had a chance to do that, but there's no way after the speculation. And I'll tell you why. I was sitting with a CTO for a very, very large company in Seattle. And this is before we open sourced. So this would have been in 2015, 2016. He at first was totally dismissive of the technology, right? After the conversation, he became very interested because we weren't talking about currencies and number go up and all of those things, right? We were talking about fundamental capabilities. So he became very interested, you know, wanted to help us out. But the funny thing was, the reason that he was dismissive is that they had, you can probably figure out who this is by describing this. They had done a at the I can't remember, one of the big fintech conferences. What is it? Something 2020, whatever that one is. That they had done a demonstration with, I believe, Ford on handling a lease on blockchain, right? And what they were doing was awesome. I mean, it was sound. It was solid. It was early, but they got trolled out the wazoo from people on crypto Twitter and Facebook, and you know, calling them out as being horrible. And it was mostly, like, say, Bitcoin maximalists and people who just hate anything that isn't within their little circle of tribe. And it basically turned off this big company that was very interested in the tech, almost turned them off completely. And so you think about that, a lot of companies are not going to want to say, we're using blockchain, because they watch crypto Twitter that when they're interested and they say, guys, yeah, I don't want my boss calling me in. I convinced my company to do this thing that is valuable. And my boss is going to be calling me in because we're getting trolled on crypto Twitter by a bunch of freaking cartoon characters, right? So it's a bad thing. So as soon as we can clear up all that BS, we could probably get a lot more people to announce what they're doing. But in the meantime, you know, you have the metrics page. Sorry, it's a very long answer. And you know, we'll announce when we can, and we do very strategically try to position and say, okay, is there any possible way we can get this into a press release, or at least some mention of how we're using this without exposing, you know, anything sensitive. So anyway, all right. Lothar, are there any future plans for time besides the current utility of fees and rewards? Well, everybody knows about loyalty. So we would like to use it in as many ways as possible, you know, including the original, which we are not using it right now inside of Den, but we're wanting to use that both directly and conceptually to help people have a really tight control and reputation. You know, that if you have a crypto project and you create a layer, that you can basically make it so that anybody can read it, but only people who hold a certain amount for a certain amount of time can actually post, let's say, or you know, maybe even reply. So you can basically totally kill all the trolls, because they can't come in and without buying your token, you know, at which point, you know, it's like, well, if you buy my token, you can troll me all you want. That's one way. Obviously, the network itself and is the key use. I think the primary use for time is scarcity on the network, but yeah, we could see it being used, especially if we clean up. I don't want to say clean up. If we simplify the utility of it, right? Right now, it's very easy to run a node, reasonably easy to run a node, and to apply your time. However, it is not easy to let someone else use your time to build something, which we want to really improve. I mean, that's a key piece I would like to see improved, and that's what we talked about earlier. So Mike D. Crypto was wondering if it would be okay if I showed a short preview of the beta app in a video today, or do you want that to remain private for now? Sure, show it away, right? I mean, it's beta, but it's, if you're doing something that, is positive and trying to show people how to use it, definitely we would actually value having that in there. Awesome, thanks. Okay, check cams, 1, 2, 3. Would you say that with the recent alliances of Equed and Scivolve, this is the most excited you've been about Dragonchain? Definitely. I mean, the conversations that we're getting into and the level of understanding that's developing, there's some pretty what I would call crazy things in the mix of possibilities. That there's some projects that we're still definitely grinding on, trying to describe what we can do, trying to fit it to requirements that are known, and trying to demonstrate the flexibility for the future. That if we get some of these, it'll be night and day. It'll be it'll change our lives. I'll be a lot more busy than I already am, but it'll really free up a lot for us to focus. In the end, good adoption brings you focus, right? Because who's spending the money, and those are the people that you're serving, and it makes everything easier. Because you think about, in 2017, setting priorities, extremely hard, right? You look at the roadmap, and it was very much shotgun approach, because we were trying to figure out, okay, where do we want to live and yet still remain generic? Because I don't want this to be the real estate chain or the fintech chain, or nothing like that. This is very much a purpose-built general platform. So yes, I'm pretty radically excited. New exchange list. I have to tell you, I blinked, but that was natural. I can't actually tell you because I have no idea, right? People ping me all the time on Telegram, and I always give them the same canned answer, which I will tell you, since 2017 has pretty much been programmed into my mobile phone keyboard. That I would tend to prefer answering the questions on mobile, because my keyboard already knew the answer. All I had to do is type the first word and just hit space, 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 space. And it's basically, if I can remember it correctly, that we cannot solicit or pay for a listing. We can, however, offer documentary and technical assistance where necessary, right? And that's pretty much what every one of them gets. And sometimes they'll go back and forth thinking that I'm going to pay for a listing, and I'm like, no, we can't do that. Our legal guidance says we can't do that, right? And it's by the way keyed all the way down to our original provisional patent, which was granted for the first with the first Enderchain patent, that our actual token model, being a tokenized micro license, is patented, right? And so we followed that all the way through, still today. And for some reason, some of the exchanges haven't listed, even though I was surprised. But I have no idea how they make their decisions. It's probably mostly on volume and things like that. And potentially, I will admit, time might have hurt us a little bit there, because people will tend to hold more than trade, right? Which I don't think is bad. It's not bad for our community generally, but anyway. Lothar, someone asked on Telegram, Mike Cox, when and how will the marketing campaign start? There are a lot of marketing campaigns, maybe. There are a lot of different ones. The big ones have already started a little bit. You might not know it because they're not marketing to you, and they're not marketing to crypto Twitter, and they're not marketing to, like I said, cartoon characters on social platforms that might or might not be traders. They're very much marketing to businesses. That all of our ad budget is focused on making sales and increasing adoption, and at some level also, as you guys all know, that there's also a brand marketing as well, where there was a post on Twitter yesterday that someone met said that Dragonchain there's a lot of people that hate Dragonchain. I'm like, that's been since the beginning. It's a love-hate thing, I think, because we come out of Disney. People will tell us that we were over-shilled. People will tell us that we never market. And it's all of these ideas counter to one another. And, we're marketing to businesses, and there are a couple of things that are already out there. And we do expect it to expand. We're working on a couple of new ad spots. We're working on a couple of things that will roll out, including something potentially for Den as well to promote. Lothar again, can we turn golden JoJos into NFTs? We'd like to do that. I don't know what the value will be directly. I guess, the fact that you could trade it and let someone run an L4 node maybe right now. I'd like to find, if you guys have good ideas for utility that can be applied with NFTs, which could be beyond, by the way, just the golden JoJo, right? There are other badges that potentially could be used, and there are other things that could potentially be used with NFTs that might really make sense. So that's some of what we're working on, and some of the thoughts behind how we can turn your state or your history of Dragonchain utility into various independent, what you could either call badges. But then the question becomes, is it necessary to trade it on Ethereum or not? And we're open to it. So let's say we did make golden JoJo into something that is usable in some way beyond what it is now, and we make it an NFT. You could feasibly trade it inside of Dragonchain itself. That's a doable thing. We could allow you to export it into Ethereum land so that you could put it on OpenSea or some other NFT platform. So there are reasons to do it. It's just there are a lot of questions around it before we integrate. Lothar, question on Telegram: is there anything DC is doing to help address the crypto community and spread awareness via outlets specifically designed to reach community who may not know all the goodness that's going on? We're always doing, what we can. We have we have Twitter accounts. I still, unfortunately, go on there occasionally. I wish I didn't. I tend to feel better when I don't. But we do have friends on Twitter, obviously. But we use that. We obviously have Telegram channels, and we have stuff on Den, and people are coming into Den that had no understanding of Dragonchain early on, and it's actually a really positive experience because the first thing they see is just a system that they wouldn't even know is built on blockchain. Most of them don't, in fact, until we tell them. Frankly, here's the thing: there's a market value, and nobody knows. I can't even speculate what will happen when adoption fully comes, right? So it's really up to all of those people to do their fundamental research. And I think vast majority, over 90% don't. And I think of the people who are out there on the socials who are in this space, the vast majority of them focus on speculative investment based upon one-off marketing PR, right? So it's, somebody did something, there's a white paper released, or there's somebody announced something is going to start happening, and now I'm going to put a bunch of money into it. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? it's just, I think, missing the big picture. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to sell my Apple stock at $5 because pets.com is here, and timing's probably off on that, but it's the equivalent type of thing, that something that is hot today, you know, you really should do fundamentals. You know, it's like, hey, if you're a day trader, you know, by all means, you know, jump in and out. Most people can't do that and profit. So, you know, and entry and the people who do charting, nothing wrong with charting either, because that's how you determine when entry is best and when exit is best. Those are good things, but still, it's all missing fundamentals. And frankly, I don't think most of crypto Twitter or most of the platforms out there, at least that I watch, really have a solid understanding of what's needed, what's wanted, what's possible, and what's really built, right? And those are the things you need to know. You need to know what do businesses actually need, what will businesses actually pay, and is it built? Has anyone built it, right? And that's the thing, you know, it's like the core stuff we've built, and we're trying to build different products right now, right? Based upon real conversations. But if you're, you know, just looking at us as, a speculative investment, I'm like, well, you know, do whatever you want there. You know, I think, you know, long-term, you know, adoption is the real judge, right? So, and we're working it. So, okay. IORE. I remember there being talks in the past about being able to sell and edit smart contracts, etc., on a marketplace. Something you're still interested in doing? Absolutely. Right now, like I say, the first foray into that is our smart contract orchestration. That I think in the end we're going to have a lot of the components, especially at the enterprise level. That I know we're going to have it there. It's probably sooner than more of a consumer level or even a startup level type functionality, that the enterprises will have very set requirements on certain components, and those will be available and will, you know, they'll be built out and usable by other groups. And, you know, there's some degree where we have to figure out, you know, in the ones that we build, as an example, they will probably be available to others. The ones that businesses build, they, you know, may or may not be available right away, right? But yeah, that's definitely still an interest point. It's just, I think we were way ahead of the curve for that. No one understood really what we were wanting to do back then, and all the way up and down the consumers and the regulators, they didn't understand what we were trying to build. And so, you know, we're approaching the ability now that people understand it, so we can start throwing that together. Let's see here. Let's see. Any updates about Dragonscale? There are upcoming things about Dragonscale. We have a partnership in Europe to build out some things, and it's looking really great. We have a good team behind that, and so you know, we're waiting to announce anything until there's, you know, really something to announce. So, you know, we're being very conservative about it and making sure we have good projects involved and good team and good partners. So that's what it's all about. I think that's it, right? All the questions. So it's good. It is, oh geez, I didn't realize we went over an hour. Oh, sorry guys. Let's see here. So we'll sign off now, and if you can, watch us again next week. You know, make sure you like this video. We're right now broadcasting on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Periscope, and we actually get a lot of views on Periscope through Twitter. Yet, if I understand correctly, they're retiring that whole platform. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. We'll figure that out. But not a big deal. Watch us wherever you can next week again. On Twitter, follow Real Denizens, Dragonchain Gang, and Jojo Row. And you know, go to den.social, join up, you know, get the mobile app if you can, like we described earlier. And, you know, follow us, you know, follow me there. Subscribe to the Dragonchain layer and the Den layer. And that's where a lot of our focus is right now in communication. So come in there and, you know, earn some money and and figure out the platform and help us build it out. So anyway, that's it. Thanks a bunch, everybody. See you next week.